What if you had a list of signs? Signs that pointed to the end of an entire era. For almost 2,000 years, one of the most famous and, frankly, most debated prophecies on that exact topic comes from just one chapter in the book of Matthew. It's packed with cryptic warnings and, well, cosmic events. So, what does this ancient text actually say? Let's break it down sign by sign. So, where does this all start? With a really shocking prediction. Jesus and his disciples are admiring the Jerusalem temple. I mean, this is the center of their entire world, and he just drops this bombshell. It's all going to be completely demolished, not one stone left on another. That statement, right there, sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold. Okay, so you can imagine hearing this just completely shakes the disciples. So a little later, when they're on the Mount of Olives, they pull him aside privately. They need answers. And it's this quiet, private conversation that becomes the setting for a prophecy that has literally echoed through centuries. And this leads them to ask this huge two-part question. First, when is the temple going to be destroyed? And second, what's going to be the sign of your return and, the end of the age? The entire rest of the chapter is his answer to that question. And that's exactly what we're going to walk through. So he kicks off his answer with this really powerful metaphor. He says the first signs are like birth pains. Now just think about that for a second. Birth pains tell you something big is on the way, right? They start and they get more intense over time. But they aren't the baby itself. They're just the beginning of the process. So what are these first pains? While they're big, global scale stuff, we're talking about false messiahs popping up and leading people astray, the constant background noise of wars and even just rumors of wars, nations fighting each other, and natural disasters like famines and earthquakes. It's basically the kind of stuff that creates this feeling of global anxiety and instability. These are just the first rumbles. But here's the really important part. After listing all that terrifying stuff, the text gives a huge clarification. The message is, don't freak out, this is not the end, these are just the beginning of the birth pains. Okay, so after all that external chaos, the signs get a lot more personal. They shift inward, to a kind of social decay. The prophecy talks about this breakdown of community and loyalty, a time of persecution, betrayal, and just widespread hatred, where the love that people have for each other just grows cold. But in the middle of all these general signs, the text drops one very specific global benchmark. It says the end will come only after the message of the gospel has been shared with the entire world as a testimony to every nation. This is laid out as a major prerequisite before anything else can happen. All right, so once those birth pains are underway, things kick into a whole new gear. The prophecy describes a new phase, a period of great distress. And at this point, the intensity ramps up big time. And the focus shifts to one specific event that's going to trigger a call for some really urgent action. And the trigger for all this, it's this really cryptic phrase, the abomination that causes desolation. The text actually points back to the prophet Daniel, so this wasn't some brand new idea. The instruction is, when you see this thing standing in the holy place, that's the signal. It's time to act, and act fast. And the response to seeing this, it has to be immediate. We're talking absolute urgency here. The instructions are basically to drop everything you're doing and run. Don't even go back in the house for your stuff. Don't go back for your coat. The level of urgency being communicated is just extreme. And here's why. The period that follows this sign is described as a time of suffering so intense, it's unlike anything in human history, before or after. The text even says that if that time wasn't cut short, literally no one would survive. Now, during all this chaos, there's a huge warning about deception. False prophets and false messiahs will show up, and they'll be convincing, performing incredible signs and wonders. So the warning here is crystal clear. Do not believe anyone who says the Messiah has shown up in secret, out in the desert, or in some back room. Why? Because the real thing will be unmistakable, as obvious as a flash of lightning that lights up the entire sky. And that, of course, brings us to the climax of the whole prophecy. After all the warnings, after the period of great distress, the text finally describes the main event, the coming of the Son of Man. And it's painted as this huge, cosmic, public spectacle that no one can possibly miss. The text says that right after that period of distress, bam, there's an immediate shift. The entire cosmos gets shaken up. The sun goes dark, the moon stops giving light, and the stars are described as falling from the sky. The chaos moves from Earth right up into the heavens. And then, in that dark sky, the main event finally happens. The sign of the Son of Man appears. And the text makes it really clear this is not some local event. It says all the peoples of the earth will see it. And look, the description here is so specific. This is not some subtle, secret thing. It's public, on the clouds for everyone to see. It's powerful, with great glory. And it's a global event, with angels being sent out with a loud trumpet call to gather people from every single corner of the globe. So, after all of that, this epic sequence of events, the whole focus of the prophecy shifts. It pivots from the what and when of all these signs to the so what. It becomes a really practical lesson on how a person should live knowing all this information. And this is maybe the biggest twist of all. After laying out all of those signs, the text says flat out that nobody knows the exact day or the hour. Not the angels, not even the Son, only the Father. And that creates this really interesting tension, right? You're told all the signs to watch for, but you're also told you can never, ever pinpoint the exact date. To make this point, the text uses an analogy, the days of Noah. Before the flood, what were people doing? Just living their normal lives, eating, drinking, getting married, totally oblivious to what was about to happen. The prophecy says the end will be just like that. It will be a sudden, shocking interruption to ordinary, everyday life. And there's another parable that really hammers this home. A master leaves two servants in charge. The faithful one keeps doing his job just like he's supposed to, but the wicked one thinks, the boss is taking forever, and he starts messing around, abusing others. The point is pretty clear. The instruction isn't just to sit around and wait. It's to live faithfully and do what you're supposed to be doing while you wait. So when you strip it all away, all the signs, all the parables, it boils down to one simple command, and it's repeated to make sure you get it. Keep watch. Be ready. Why? Because you just don't know the day. And the final word on it is this powerful reminder, this fundamental element of surprise. The Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Which means being in a constant state of readiness is really the only logical option. So in the end, this whole detailed prophecy, from the fall of a building to stars falling from the sky, it all comes down to this one simple personal instruction. Be ready. Which really just turns the question back on us, doesn't it? What does being ready actually look like to you?